How to replace the rear brake pads and motor on a 2001 Toyota Highlander. Only tools you need is a 14mm socket, a 17mm socket, and a flathead screwdriver would be helpful. You also need a 21mm to take the tires off. So I've already got that here. Now what I like to do before I start taking off the caliper, I like to have a flathead screwdriver go in between the brake pad and the actual caliper, and I like to pry towards me. As I'm pulling towards me, that will push in this piston as much as it'll go. It won't compress it flush, so you'll have to take a pliers or a brake tool to push the piston all the way in. But that's just enough so you can slide the caliper off. Now what you have is I believe it's a 17. Sorry about that. And you want to go and take this bolt loose. You only have one bolt that holds this on. This is right there. Then you just have kind of like a long shaft here that this will just slide on out. Now I was able to make it do without having to take the sway link off. I was able to shimmy it through to get the whole caliper off. Now since I don't have an impact at home, it's at work, I just use a 1/2" ratchet with the socket, and I just took the bar from my jack and just used that as a cheater bar. It actually works out quite good. I was struggling on the one side. I'm thinking, why work harder when you can work smarter? Just use the jack handle to give more leverage on it. And this is what the bolt looks like. Just got a little threads on it, and the rest of it's just the straight end of it. What I did here, might have to kind of wiggle it. This thing's got quite a bit of mileage on him, so you might have to work around with it. This hasn't been off in quite some time, so you just got to keep working back and forth on it. When you put the caliper back on, I would suggest you put some grease on that shaft part there, so it slides in and out easier. Just gotta kind of work its way, off it goes. I was able to kind of shimmy it through. Just gotta try what you can to get it through and out of the way. I don't like to have this hanging just on its hose here, the brake line. I like to have it kind of supported by something. Then you got your 14mm bolt here, and a 14 down here. Don't know how well that light's gonna show. It's right there. That's to take off this bracket here. Now if you're replacing the brake pads, I highly recommend either replacing the rotors or get them turned. This one here is so badly warped, I'm actually replacing the whole rotor. It's not worth turning. Now this rotor was stuck on here. What I did, I took a bolt and put it in where these little holes are at. There's only 2 holes, one there and one there. My bolt that I had is a 13mm. What I like to do, I was able to get this off just by one screw, but what I would recommend, have 2 of them and just work them back and forth. Just kind of switch back and forth until you hear the pop, off goes the rotor. Then you can get your screw back once you get the rotor off. Now since this is an aftermarket rotor got from the auto parts, they do add some type of film on there to keep this from rusting, and you don't want that on the rotor. You want that off of there so you can stop. The film stuff, if you don't clean it off and you just slap everything back together, you ain't gonna stop anytime soon, because that film stuff destroys the brake pads and will make it where it won't make contact onto it. So what I got here is just some brake cleaner. Just want to spray it and wipe it down. I got a little too carried away, then you just want to wipe it down. And yes, this is put in on the wrong place. I like to do it that way, just so I can clean the back of it, then move it, then turn it over and clean the front end of it. That's the way it's supposed to go. And well, like I said, clean the front end of it, spray the brake clean on it, and wipe it down. After you get it all cleaned down, both sides of it, you're ready to put your new brake pads on. What I like to do here, I like to put a lug nut in, push it where it holds the rotor into place, therefore the rotor don't move around when I put the bracket back on. Just like so. Now it's time to put new brake pads on. When you get your new brake pads on, you're ready to go on and install the bracket. Now what I did here too, I also switched out this hardware too. Just for the heck of it, might as well start all nice and fresh. Now I have the special tool to compress the piston back in. It didn't really work out too well for this little one here because the piston was too far out and this can only go in so much. So what I did, I took my vice grips and pushed on the piston itself enough for me to get this into it so I can push it in flush. Now after that, you're ready to go ahead and install it. So what you want to do, you got this pin here, you're going to try to get this inside the hole just like so, and you kind of want to work its way towards you enough to push down all the way. Then you want to go ahead and put in your bolts over here and tighten that down. After you get that tightened down, the caliper and everything else is tightened down, the bracket, new brakes, new rotors, returned rotors, you're ready to go ahead and put on the wheel. So I ain't gonna make a video on how to put on the wheel. We all should know how to put on the wheel. After you finished all your brakes that you are doing, your rear brakes or the front brakes, or all of them, whatever one you're doing, what you want to do before you start the car or whatever, you want to press the brakes a couple times until it gets nice and firm where it will not go in anymore. Therefore the pistons are pushed back to where they should be at. Then after that, start the vehicle up, push the brakes a couple more times, put in gear, and just let the car go, and make sure the brakes are going to actually stop before you start giving it more gas and find out, hey, your brakes ain't working. So that's really all that there is to it. I have a video on the front ones if you're wanting to replace the front ones. So that's videos how you replace the rear brake pads and rotors on a 2001 Toyota Highlander. Thanks for watching.